What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Wednesday, reacting to yesterday's Titans OTA practice. The first time we've seen everybody on the field at once with the media in person there at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. And a lot to take away. There's a lot of good things that come out of Titans OTAs. I'll do some observations and do some housekeeping notes and just a little updates there off the top of the show, but diving into DeAndre Hopkins, who is doubling down on the Titans' belief on wide receiver Treylon Burks. And I'm sure this will be an interesting conversation because we'll play the comments from DeAndre Hopkins that he had yesterday after the OTA practice. And then D-Hop took to Twitter and does what he does, being very clever and doubled down himself on the Titans overall. But the Titans very confident in Treylon Burks for the most part. So we'll talk a lot about that. And then I'll give you my reaction to my thought yesterday of how does Treylon Burks stack up next to Calvin Ridley. So I will give you the update on my first impression of Calvin Ridley wearing that 0 in two-tone blue before we get to sports trivia. So Jack, welcome in. Hope things are good with you. Let's get this thing going.
Absolutely. Happy hump day to everyone in the chat. Happy hump day to you, Austin. It's going to be a fun day talking Titans wide receivers in a positive light, which is something that has only happened a few times in over the past 2 decades. So it'll be a fun show today. I'm excited to hear you guys' opinion, but in order to hear everyone's opinion, we got to make sure we're sharing the show. Sharing is caring over here at A to Z Sports. If you're watching on Facebook, share the show to your Titans groups. I know all of you guys are a part of them. I see all of you guys chatting in there constantly. So go ahead and share the show to Titans groups. It's going to help us grow. It's going to help us expand our audience. All of those things are good. Make sure you like the show as well while you're in here. King VC chiming in already. Says the King has returned. Lock in. Like the show. Like the show, everybody. If you're watching on YouTube, tap that bell icon near the top of your screen and turn your notifications on so you get an update every time A to Z Sports goes live. You don't want to miss out on any Titans content now that OTAs are underway. Finally, if you're watching on Twitch, text that Twitch link around to your Titans text groups. Let's bring everybody in here. Let's take the temperature of the fan base today. Austin, let's get the show on the road.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Jack Gentry of the Tighten Up Podcast, and we are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Also hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. Got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us, and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process in Lebanon or online, wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org. The region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. And Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get a quote today to save money on your health coverage by going to see our link at fbhp.com/ATOZ. So, Jack, a loaded day of Titans OTA storylines yesterday. We got a lot of great video out there, but also just some notes to kind of go over before we dive into our DeAndre Hopkins, Treylon Burks topic here. Is that, I think the most noticeable thing that you can see is that this Titans offensive line is so much bigger than it was before. Like, J.C. Latham is humongous. Sadiq Charles, the first time getting to see him. First time getting to see, obviously, Lloyd Cushenberry, who became the highest paid center in NFL history with the guaranteed money the Titans gave him to come over from Denver. And then Peter Skoronski looks like a different human being. Like, the guy looks like he has just been a lumberjack for the entire offseason, chopping wood, building muscles. His arms are about twice as thick. Overall, he is just thick with 2 C's in the best way possible, recovering from his appendectomy that happened in week 2 of last year. And then, NPF was not out there. He's still recovering and rehabbing from an injury that I assume is his shoulder injury from last year, but Brian Callahan did not disclose what NPF was rehabbing. But Jalen Duncan not out there either for maybe some rehab reasons. Not exactly sure on Duncan. But, Jack, the offensive line just looks so much just like an actual NFL offensive line, where it hasn't before because you've got Aaron Brewer at linebacker size playing center, where the guy wearing 55 these days is like twice as big. So that was the easiest observation of, oh my God, they are a lot bigger up front. So that's going to make everybody feel better, right?
Yeah, it has to. It's just an added layer of security for the playmakers that the Titans are going to, have to force feed this season, whether it's Pollard, Spears, having the ball in Levis's hands every snap. Those guys up front, I believe that's going to be one of the most improved units around the entire NFL because the Titans were bottom of the barrel last year. I mean, they were in the basement.
Yep.
If they were, the Giants had the worst O-line, but I think the Titans were right there with the second worst when it comes to sacks allowed and stuff like that. So, they have the potential to make a huge jump if they can just be average this year, right? If that O line could just be average this year, I think that there's enough talent around them on offense to start scoring 30 points. I mean, it's been 30 games. Can you believe it? It's been 30 games since the Titans scored 30 points, and that offensive line is going to be a big part of it this year when that streak inevitably snaps under Brian Callahan. But it's good to hear. It's even better to see in person because you're led to believe one thing, but seeing it on the field in action is totally different. And Cushenberry and those boys up front are going to move some bodies this season.
Absolutely. And you brought up Tony Pollard, Tyjae Spears. Tyjae Spears rocking his new jersey number with the number 2. Tony Pollard wearing his number 20 that he's rocked with the Cowboys for a while. Those guys are going to be fun, and they're going to be completely interchangeable. At this point, you can look at the videos that we post out there that Tajae's doing the drills with Will Levis, an individual, and Pollard's doing the drills with Mason Rudolph, an individual. But then when they get into 7-on-7 and more team stuff, it's all over the place. They're rotating those guys. And I think that's really going to be very interesting. And I've talked to Tony Pollard a little bit after practice about the difference of those two guys off the field, but the similarities of them on the field and what that's going to be for this offense overall. Well, maybe we'll talk more in the next several days about other things because I spent the majority of my time with the wide receivers. That obviously included me watching Will Levis, and Will Levis continues to show promising progress as the Titans leader at quarterback and overall the command that he's got. So there's a lot of good comments about Will Levis, but I believe the story of the day that came out of that was, 1, Calvin Ridley. I'll talk about my first impressions of him later in the show, but 2, what DeAndre Hopkins had to say about the wide receiver unit as a whole, and then what DeAndre Hopkins, how he answered the questions about Treylon Burks, who has been a big talking point from everybody this offseason. So here's DeAndre Hopkins on the wide receivers, and then a couple questions about his fellow wide receiver in Treylon Burks.
Positions at the wide receiver position, and how do you think maybe having 2 other top quality guys like that might benefit you?
I think this is one of the best wide receiver groups I've had a chance to play with on paper. So obviously, I can come up here and say a bunch, but we haven't played a game yet. So we'll see how it goes once we hit the field.
Are we sleeping on him a bit? Outsiders looking at that group and the additions?
Trying to think how to answer that without like a negative sound bite. Are we sleeping on Treylon? Nein means no in German. I mean, Treylon's one of the most athletic people I've ever played with. The guy's as big as he is and fast as he is. So I'm looking forward to see what he does this year.
So D-Hop going international with a 9 answer of no. And then on Twitter, DeAndre Hopkins, because Terry McCormick tweeted out that interaction, 9, no in German. And D-Hop tweets, the media is the only one sleeping on Treylon Burks. No one in the locker room doubted him or slept on him. We are not people. I can't speak for people. So 9, he's never been slept on to us. Thank you. Come again. So 999 if you get the reference there. So Jack, your thoughts there on the overall update on the Treylon Burks conversation. We've heard so much from Brian Callahan this offseason on he's running 22.6 miles per hour. He ran for 8,000 yards in a practice and led the team. He's doing everything we're asking him to do. He's learning all 3 positions. What are your quick takeaways from the latest on the Treylon Burks chapter?
Yeah, it's kind of funny to me because of all the talent the Titans have brought in this offseason. It feels like we've talked more about Treylon Burks on this show than just about anybody. And here we have another, talking point again provided by DeAndre Hopkins. Look, it's great leadership for DeAndre Hopkins. I think that's what you have to do as kind of the eldest one in the wide receiver group, the one with, the one with all the medals. He's highly decorated. He's got all the accolades. But yeah, Treylon Burks, look, we've heard the same kind of thing from Brian Callahan and co. I think that they know that, he's kind of a mental guy. He needs some, confidence. And DeAndre Hopkins, I think, is just doing his duty as a teammate and, a mentor in a way, in saying, hey, you know what? We never slept on Treylon Burks. That was all you guys. And while that may be true, the statistics and the numbers and the data and all that stuff speaks for itself. So whether or not people have actually been sleeping on Treylon Burks for valid reasons or not, I don't think that matters to D-Hop. I think that he's going to do his job as a teammate and a leader in that locker room. That's what he's brought in to do.
Yeah, and Steve Lehman from News Channel 5 is the one who asked that question. And I think Steve was kind of concerned that D-Hop took it the wrong way. But I think the way that Steve asked the question was totally fine and very clear to anybody who heard it was, do you think the media / people from the outside, and I believe Steve used we, as in the collective we outside the building, are sleeping on Treylon Burks? So I thought it was a fair question, and D-Hop answered it the way that he wanted to. But doubling down on the Titans' praise of Treylon Burks, of their belief in the third-year wide receiver, the former first-round draft pick. So, Jack, let's go ahead and ask this question to the audience today in the chat. How much weight does DeAndre Hopkins' praise on Treylon Burks carry for you? A lot, a little, or none? How much weight does DeAndre Hopkins' praise of Treylon Burks carry from you? A lot, a little, or none? Because look, he's his teammate. He's not going to throw the guy under the bus. But how much weight does this really carry? A lot, a little, or none? We'll get to all of your comments here momentarily. But first, Farm Bureau Health Plans, that carries a lot of weight off of your shoulders if you know you have a health coverage plan you can believe in as well. Save money and get better coverage at the same time. Farm Bureau Health Plans can do that for you. They've done that with Zach Bingham. They've done that with Tennesseans across the entire state for over 77 years, and they can be right there for you to help you out when you need it most, or be proactive about when you need something most. So don't pay out of pocket to go to the dentist. You got to go to the dentist at least twice a year. Come on, take care of your teeth. You only get one set, right? Don't be like somebody that's got to get those fake looking things. It scares everybody the time you smile because it's so fake looking, right? Don't avoid that. Farm Bureau Health Plans can help you out. Don't pay out of pocket either for your vision. If you need that coverage, they've got you covered right there. And you can get a quote. It's so easy to do. And start by using our link, fbhp.com/ATOZ.
BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Download the app, and new users plug in our bonus code that you see on your screen, ATOZ Sports, and you'll get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. It's a great offer going on right now. If you're looking to change sportsbooks, you're looking to start putting some money on some games, do it with BetMGM, and make sure you take advantage of this offer and use our bonus code ATOZ Sports upon your sign up. Get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses.
All right, so Jack, asking the question, how much does DeAndre Hopkins' praise of Treylon Burks carry weight for you? A lot, a little, or none? Before we get to the chat, I'll play the video one more time of DeAndre Hopkins talking about the Titans wide receivers and overall Treylon Burks.
Positions at the wide receiver position, and how do you think maybe having two other top quality guys like that might benefit you?
I think this is one of the best wide receiver groups I've had a chance to play with on paper. So obviously, I can come up here and say a bunch, but we haven't played a game yet. So we'll see how it goes once we hit the field.
Are we sleeping on him a bit? Outsiders looking at that group and the additions?
Trying to think how I answer that without like a negative sound bite. Are we sleeping on Treylon? Nein means no in German. I mean, Treylon's one of the most athletic people I've ever played with. The guy's as big as he is and fast as he is. So I'm looking forward to see what he does this year.
Interesting, right? There's a lot to unpack from that. This is one of the best wide receiver groups I've ever played with on paper. Haven't done it yet. And then says Treylon Burks is one of the most athletic guys I've ever played with. I'm excited to see what he does this year. Now, Lou Man brings up a comment that I believe is hilarious, witty. clever. I'm worried about D-drop. I don't think DeAndre Hopkins dropped many passes, and I don't think DeAndre Hopkins is anything you need to worry about. So, Jack, I'll send you to the chat. How much weight does DeAndre Hopkins' praise of Burks carry for you? A lot, a little, or none? What are you seeing from the chat today?
IR Hoshi starts off on YouTube with a little. Darren says none. Lou Man agrees. Eric Castillo says carries all the weight. None from Steve, Corey. We've got a lot of weight from Deborah. A little weight from Kyle, Josh, Sam, Ken. Darren Lee says absolutely nothing. Rooney says none. Clayton says none. Dennis agrees. Katie says a lot. Stephen King, love this answer. 9. No weight. A little. Why not? None. A lot of weight from Billy. We've got none from Dylan. A little weight from Caleb. A lot from Gene and Willie. We've got a little weight from Lucas and Corey, as well as Brock. Eric says no weight. Ashley says a little weight. Darius says a little weight. Grim Jim, a little weight. None from Nick. A little from DeFundraiser and Linwood. Jeff Rubel says none. He's not going to bash him. A little from Karen. A little from Danny. Austin. This carry.
What do you think the before you answer?
Yeah.
What do you think the most popular answer is from the chat? A lot, a little, or none?
I would say a lot. I would say a little. Excuse me. I think that was the most prevalent answer in the chat. But I'm not even going to go that far. This carries no weight to me.
Really?
I mean, at some point we just have to look at the numbers, and we have to take take Treylon Burks for what he has been as a Titan. You know, he's missed 12 games in 2 seasons. He's scored 1 touchdown. Well, he scored 2, but only 1 receiving touchdown after he fell on a fumble for his first career touchdown. Hasn't done anything out there on the field worth noting. And he hasn't been a guy that's trustworthy for his quarterbacks. And I know there's been a handful of them, and, you know, it's been a revolving door since he got here. But when Will Levis took over last year, he wasn't in the right spots. He couldn't make the big plays. He couldn't make the contested catches. And when you have a guy who's as physically talented as Treylon Burks is, we heard DeAndre Hopkins say, you know, he's one of the best athletes that he's ever played with. We know that. We know Treylon Burks is a freak athlete, but he hasn't put it together yet as a wide receiver. And time is ticking on Treylon Burks. This is a pivotal year for him, and what the Titans are going to end up having to do once his rookie contract comes up, or once that 5th-year option, you know, comes up next season, when you have to make a decision on that. So Burks, look, I've said it all offseason. You have to see it on the field for Treylon Burks. He's got to show it on the field. So DeAndre Hopkins, you know, praising his teammate, a job he's supposed to do, does not move the needle for me when it comes to Treylon Burks. I understand the physical gifts that he has, but until he puts it together on Sundays consistently, I am going to struggle to believe in Treylon Burks.
So you're going to, like, there are basically no words that can be said about Treylon Burks
of course
that
not.
will make you feel better.
Of course not. No, the words, I mean, the moves tell me more than anything. Like, you having to go out and get Tyler Boyd to play in the slot instead of trusting Treylon Burks to fill that gap, that tells me a whole lot more. That means a whole lot more to me than DeAndre Hopkins saying, hey, we're not sleeping on him. Of course you're not sleeping on him, man. You work out with him every day. You see him every day. So, you know, you're not going to come out here and bash him or, you know, tell probably the truth about Treylon Burks. That's not your job to do as his teammate. Your job is to build him up.
So I don't think DeAndre Hopkins' words have no weight. Like, you answered none. I did put up a poll on YouTube, so I'll check in on that here in a little bit, between a lot, a little, or no weight at all. Jack, you said none. I think it's a little. It's definitely not a lot because of the things that you said. Like, we haven't seen anything yet. Only 1 receiving touchdown in 22 games as an NFL wide receiver. But I do think, is DeAndre Hopkins a borderline Hall of Famer, or is he a future Hall of Famer?
Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Famer.
He's a future Hall of Famer to you. Okay, so I feel like DeAndre Hopkins would not stick his neck out like he has a couple times for Treylon Burks. Like, even remember last summer, early in camp, I remember Sam and I had a show where we were both in the parking lot outside St. Thomas Sports Park, sweating our you-know-what off, and getting ready for it. We had a conversation on who is wide receiver 1A and who is wide receiver 1B between DeAndre Hopkins and Treylon Burks. Because to that point, Treylon Burks had shown that he was right up there equal with D-Hop. And I remember there was a tweet that D-Hop had around that time it was something about Burks, and he quote tweeted, and it was like the shush emoji, right? Of like, Burks is this guy, like he was balling out like that. And so I don't think a future Hall of Fame player would be as vocal and as out there on multiple platforms as DeAndre Hopkins has been without him truly believing what he says about Treylon Burks, that he's got all the ability in the world, that he is one of the most athletic guys he's played with. And Diop's played with some athletic guys like Will Fuller, deep threat stud in Houston when healthy, Brandon Cooks. He didn't really play with a lot of guys in Arizona, but I mean, Diop's been around and seen a lot of guys in this league. So my official answer is a little bit of weight that I view from DeAndre Hopkins of saying that, yeah, we're not sleeping on Treylon. He is one of the most athletic guys, and the media is the only one sleeping on Treylon Burks. Because, look, the media is not wrong. We are not wrong from doing that. Jack, you're not wrong for saying that you won't change your opinion on Treylon Burks until you see him do it in a regular season football game in the NFL. But I believe that DeAndre Hopkins believes what he is saying.
Sure. The Treylon Burks chatter from D-Hop, my thing here is that it hasn't been unprovoked, right? I mean, everybody, the only time he's really spoke on Treylon Burks is when he's asked about him. If he was to go out of pocket and off script and start a presser with, man, dude, Treylon Burks has been balling out there. I don't know if you guys have been watching him, but instead it's, are you sleeping on Treylon Burks, DeAndre Hopkins? And he's got to talk about Treylon Burks, and he obviously has to give compliments about him. Sure, his pedigree is, second to none, really. He's going into the Hall of Fame when he hangs his cleats up. But that's, I'm just not inclined to believe that Treylon Burks has all of a sudden changed. And you mentioned the training camp he had last offseason. I mean, this is Treylon Burks hype season, where everybody, whether it's the media, his teammate, or his coaches, are going to hype up Treylon Burks because he looks good in practice. Like, he's looked good in practice. This would be his second year. He's looked good in practice. Who gives a damn, in my opinion? Like, go do it on a Sunday and go do it and string together multiple good games to where your quarterback, Will Levis, trusts you. So he has to earn Will Levis's trust this season. And DeAndre Hopkins, like, I get it. He's excited. Treylon Burks looks good out there, and he's working out with them, and he sees him more than we do. So he's probably got a better idea of what Burks is this season than we have right now. But at the same time, he's not paid to give his true, honest opinion. He's getting paid to say nice things about his teammates and then go perform and go for 1,000 yards in 2024. So DeAndre Hopkins is doing his job. This means nothing to me when it comes to the Treylon Burks discourse. He's got to settle that, and he's got to quiet everybody else down on Sundays this season. Until then, there's nothing he can really do in a lot of Titans fans' eyes.
Yeah, and so I'm seeing some comments here. Grim Jim says it was a poor system with Vrabes, and there's other people, and I think Grim Jim had the most concise comment about the Vrabel input of this. And I think that's what we're interested in seeing in a lot of different ways. We're interested in seeing the offensive line get better. We're interested in seeing if players can stay healthier without the whatever Mike Vrabel's system was. And Treylon Burks is definitely a part of that, especially with wide receivers. Alex says DeAndre's words carry weight. He is the leader of the offense right now. Well, I think Will Levis is the leader of the offense right now, but I think DeAndre Hopkins has a presence in that locker room that is viewed with the ultimate respect. Like, DeAndre Hopkins, I feel, in that organization, walks into a room, people know he's there, people respect that he's there. He's got the aura about him that you can just feel. He doesn't have to speak loud. He's very soft-spoken, quiet for the most part, but what he says means something, and people respect that.
But what's the alternative answer from D-Hop? Like, did you not expect an answer exactly like this?
No, the 9. Look, DeAndre Hopkins is a very clever, witty person. His delivery is very calm, which I think makes it interesting. But yeah, the 9 answer I think was funny. But what he didn't have to say when asked, well, what do you think about Treylon's progress and what do you expect from him this year? He did not have to say, he's one of the most athletic guys I've ever played with. That was offered up without any prompt. Like, you're right. When Steve Lehman asks, are we, the collective people not in the building from the outside, sleeping on this guy that you have been around a lot? that is a direct question with a direct answer. But an open-ended question of, yeah, what are you expecting to see from Treylon? You go, yeah, one of the most athletic guys I've ever played with. That is something that I think means more than the no, not slept on, 999.
Yeah, but the slept on thing, it's like nobody's really sleeping on him. We're taking him for what he is. He's had 2 seasons to prove that he's this. He can live up to his first round draft stock and hasn't even come close. I mean, if you get rid of him, you'd be lucky to get a 5th round pick for Treylon Burks right now. So nobody's really sleeping on him. We've seen him out there for 22 games, and we've been able to make opinions and form thoughts on what he's done out there in those 22 games, or really what he hasn't done out there. And everybody in the chat that's saying he was used wrong, even when he was out there on the field, even when balls were being thrown in his direction, he couldn't come up with them. The drops, the inability to win 50-50 balls, he's only really made 1 or 2 big catches down the field in his entire career. That's what he's brought in to do. So I don't think anybody's sleeping on him. I think that we've had enough. We've had a 22 game sample size, and we're judging him appropriately based on what he's done in those games.
And Gene says, Jack, you're taking him for what he was in a system that sucked.
Yeah, I mean, the system sucked. Treylon Burks on the field when he was out there and the ball was thrown to him also sucked. 2 things can be true.
Darren says, Jack speaking facts this morning. Karen says, with the new coaching staff, Treylon will improve. Yeah, I think you've got Tyke Tolbert that's got a lot of, notches in his belt on his resume that look pretty impressive overall. And look, Rashid comes in with a super chat from earlier. Says the old wide receiver coach, Rob Moore, did not develop any wide receivers while this new coach and Tyke Tolbert will. Like, I don't know if Rob Moore is a good or a bad wide receiver coach. He was a good wide receiver in the 90s for the Cardinals back in the day. He's been a long-time wide receiver coach in the NFL before he came to the Titans, and now he moved on, got another job pretty quickly. He was one of the first guys to get a job. So I don't necessarily think you can bash Rob Moore, but I also think you can prop up Tyke Tolbert without bashing Rob Moore for that super chat. So another couple comments on this too. Danny says, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Treylon has been working with D-Hop this offseason. And that's kind of what has been the discussion, is that Treylon Burks has spent more time around DeAndre Hopkins. Remember, D-Hop wasn't with the Titans until mid-July. At this point, he was still on the Arizona Cardinals roster as a late May cut. And so D-Hop being with Burks for the last several months, I think goes extra into why DeAndre Hopkins can confidently say, yeah, I think we all believe in what Treylon can do, and I'm excited to see what he's going to do this year. Look, I saw Treylon yesterday, and he's still a very large guy, and he was wearing baggy sweatpants, while out there practicing, not shorts like other guys. Ridley and D-Hop were also wearing sleeves or long pants. Burks had a long T-shirt underneath his jersey. So there was nothing you could not go out there and say, all right, what does Treylon's legs look like? Does he look like he's trimmed down? Does he look like he's got muscle definition in his quads, his calves, or anything like that? Or can you see around his midsection? No, because he was wearing sweatpants and a long shirt, which is not anything new. I don't think he's trying to hide anything. That's just kind of how he's practiced, especially on a hot day. A lot of guys want to do that to get more of a sweat in when the practice itself is not that physically grueling. So, but I saw Treylon out there running routes, doing drills, looking healthy, looking fast, looking explosive, catching the football, and on 7-on-7 drill, caught a contested over the middle route within traffic. Good ball from Levis right in his gut, caught the football, secured it, busted upfield. So, Treylon Burks didn't do anything wrong yesterday. I just think we want to know more about why the Titans feel so good about him, and Brian Callahan can't stop talking good things about him, and Tyke Tolbert, now D-Hop's doing it too.
But aren't they saying one thing about Treylon Burks and then doing another when it comes to the roster? Like we're at the end of the day, we're talking about what Treylon Burks can develop as, but at the same time, I think that a 500-yard season would probably be a success in a lot of people's eyes. So if you believe in him, that's one thing. But do you really believe in him if he's only going to have, this marginal role in the offense and be wide receiver 4 on a good day? Let's not forget that NWI has outplayed him ever since Treylon Burks arrived in Tennessee. So, Burks has a lot to prove this season, and it's not too late to change his narrative. But I'm just saying that the Titans, sure, they sure are throwing a lot of compliments Treylon Burks' way, but they're also going out and signing guys like Calvin Ridley and now Tyler Boyd, who are only going to eat out of the same bowl that Treylon Burks is.
Look, I have my questions about Tyler Boyd's overall ceiling. At this point, he talked to the media yesterday. Seems like a great guy. Brian Callahan talked about him being a great guy. Sam reported from the combine, great locker room guy, all these things. But Sam also said that he had heard that, from coaches around the league that Boyd has lost a step. And I'm watching drills yesterday, and I'm seeing guys do those underneath slot style routes, and I'm seeing Mason Kinsey go through it, cut up grass. Kyle Phillips looks quick and healthy cutting up grass. Jaquan Jackson's got some of the quickest cuts out there on the whole practice field, the rookie 6-rounder from Tulane. And Tyler Boyd, not the quickest guy. Now he's different. What I didn't realize is Tyler Boyd's like 6'2" and very much 6'2". Like Tyler Boyd, absolutely taller than DeAndre Hopkins. Tyler Boyd a lot longer than I expected him. So maybe he's not that quick underneath guy like some of those others that I mentioned, because those guys are all under 6 foot significantly. A lot of them under 5'10". So I think there's a difference in that. But, Tyler Boyd's overall explosive ability is something that I'm going to pay attention to, because I didn't see much yesterday. He had just gotten to Nashville, so I'm not going to judge one May practice in shorts and a T-shirt against Tyler Boyd, but it's something I'm going to continue to watch, and it was going to be something I was going to watch before seeing him yesterday anyway.
Gary Two-Time says it's called depth. Gary, Treylon Burks, a first-round pick, is now a depth wide receiver. That's what the Titans think about him. They're not – going out and signing Tyler Boyd, who, Austin, you just mentioned, has plenty of red flags at his age.
I wouldn't call them red flags.
Not red flags, but
red flags is a little strong.
Regressing. He's regressing by the year. And that's just what the stats show. But to go out and get a guy like him instead of, a more proven guy who's had more success out of the slot recently, who's a bit younger, more explosive, but they think that Tyler Boyd is the answer in the slot as opposed to young and spry Treylon Burks. So this, again, goes back to them saying one thing and doing another. Treylon Burks is your depth wide receiver. Tyler Boyd was not brought in for depth. Tyler Boyd was brought in to play a significant role out of the slot.
I think Tyler Boyd, his signing, tells you more about Kyle Phillips, Mason Kinsey, Kiaris Jackson, some of those other guys, Jaquan Jackson, they signed Boyd before they saw Jaquan Jackson on the field. So, but I think it says more about those guys than it does about Burks. We had the buy or sell comment or show a couple weeks ago, Jack, when Callahan said that Burks and Boyd don't – I actually have it right here. I'll play it. Callahan on Tyler Boyd and Treylon Burks in their role.
What did you say to him about bringing in Tyler, and just kind of how is his reaction to maybe getting a diminished role or having to compete a little bit more?
I wouldn't say there's a diminished role of any sort. We've made very clear to Treylon that the signing of Tyler is not about him. It's about helping our team get better, adding better players to our team, making us a competitive football team. And what he's done and how he's worked has been great. And I'm anticipating him still being able to play a good role for us. And look, you got to have guys that can step in and play. You got to have guys that play roles. And that hasn't changed. It doesn't change anything for Treylon as far as what we're expecting from him and what I'm hopeful that he's able to bring to the offense. So we communicated that to him and made sure he was aware. And it's not about him. It's about making our team better, making our receiving core more competitive, adding more depth to our team in general.
So there's Callahan there, and I accidentally put this up during that clip, but DeMario's comments of, like, Jack, you're thinking of the traditional Vrabel offense where you work in one spot. Calvin, D-Hop, Burks will play everywhere. When it comes to that, they need a slot guy. That's where Boyd comes in. And I think it's just to add on to DeMario's comment of they're just going to throw the ball a lot more. There's more snaps up for grabs because they're going to play 3 wide receivers twice as much as they played 3 wide receivers under Mike Vrabel, where they were 2 wide receiver sets, sometimes 1 wide receiver set. You're going to have 4 wideouts on the field a lot of times, I think, with this offense, and the base is going to be 3 wideout. That's why they don't have more than like 4 tight ends on the roster, because they're not going to have 2 tight end sets that often. They will at times, you have to, but they're not going to be running 3 tight ends unless they're on like first and goal at the 1, which maybe they still spread it out because of the offensive line and the running backs that you have. So I think it's more about having more bodies that can do a lot of different things. And Tyler Boyd, I don't think he takes away from Treylon Burks. I think Tyler Boyd is more of an addition to the offense that's going to accelerate the growth of the offense with the playbook and the system that they're learning. I think that's a big deal with Tyler Boyd too. It's 1 year up to $4.5 million. I don't know what his incentives are for up to 4.5, but probably a good bit.
You know, I just totally disagree with that point that you just made, that Tyler Boyd has no impact on Treylon Burks' production. He absolutely does. He's jumped him.
No,
he's going to jump him in terms of snaps, targets.
There's a difference in having impact on his production, or they signed Tyler Boyd because they don't think Treylon Burks can be enough. Like, they just want more depth. That's what the coach told you.
Well, you have to. But if you entered the 2024 season trusting Treylon Burks to play a starting or even really significant role in your offense, then you're making a grave mistake, because he hasn't shown you any capabilities of him being able to do that. And look, again, like I said, he still has time to change this narrative. And obviously the Brian Callahan offense is going to cater to wide receivers more so than the past regime that the Titans were working with and that Burks had to deal with. But that doesn't change, what he did on the field when he was out there. I mean, the drops, the inconsistencies, just not being reliable. I mean, not getting 2 feet down, not making contested catches, not bringing the ball in on deep throws that are where you have a guy kind of draped all over you. The first round catches that we expect from first round wide receivers, Treylon Burks has yet to come up with in 22 games.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I still think there's room in the offense for DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd, and Treylon Burks. There is room. This is not, remember in 2021 when you're, it's A.J. Brown and Julio Jones and Derrick Henry. Who are they going to throw to? Like, there's only one football. Like, I truly feel like there are 2 footballs because of the difference of philosophy. There's more opportunity to split between more guys. And I think if Vrabel was still running the football 30 times a game, then yeah, I think Burks' role would be significantly diminished by being the 4th guy. But because he's the 4th guy right now, they're going to throw the ball 30 plus times a game. I think there's just more opportunities. There's more football to go around.
Alton says, Jack, you don't think health issues factored into the drops in confidence? It absolutely did. I mean, Treylon Burks hasn't been able to sustain any sort of momentum out there, but he also hasn't put together really a great game to where he can, string 2 Sundays in a row together. So there's a little bit of that as well. Like, look, I'm only judging Treylon Burks on what he's done on the field. And really, I mean, also, how often he hasn't been on the field. And that's enough for me to have pause when we're talking about Treylon Burks. Like, I'm a see it. I'll believe it when I see it guy when it comes to Treylon Burks, because I've seen him out there, seen him with multiple different quarterbacks. I've seen him open. I've seen him covered. And it just hasn't been enough for me. Like it hasn't. And anybody in this chat who says that Treylon Burks has done enough, or that that Treylon Burks deserves to have fans believe in him at this point, is just ridiculous. There's nothing that he's shown for Titans fans to believe in him. The only glimmer of hope we have right now with Treylon Burks has to do with a new offensive scheme coming in town. And even when it does, he's still the 4th mouth to feed out wide, not to mention Chigakonkwo, Tony Pollard, and Tajay Spears eating away at his touches as well.
I would disagree with that. Like, I don't think Titans fans should believe in Treylon Burks. But I'm just saying I think I hold a little weight in what DeAndre Hopkins has said. So, all right, I'll update the YouTube poll. that I put out there about 20-ish minutes ago. How much weight does DeAndre Hopkins' praise of Treylon Burks carry for you? A lot, a little, or none? Jack, a little is the most popular answer on the YouTube poll with 41%, none at 33%, a lot with 27%. So I guess it's now down to 40% for a little. So pretty even. It's moving now. None's got 34. So a little with 40, none with 34. So you guys are still changing those outcomes in the YouTube chat this morning. So look, I think that's the correct weight. I don't think anybody should carry a lot of weight in what Diop said because he's a teammate who's not going to bash his other teammate. But I do think for me, DeAndre Hopkins being a future Hall of Famer, going into his 33-year-old season, seeing a lot of NFL wide receivers in his time, it does carry a little bit of weight for me for him to say Treylon Burks is one of the most athletic guys I've ever played with. That means something. It doesn't mean nothing.
Chef Rand says, I believe in him as wide receiver 4. He might be wide receiver 4. NWI might have something to say about that at some point this season, but he's probably pass catcher 6 or 7. PC 6 or 7 is what you're getting out of Treylon Burks because you have Chig, Tajay Spears, and Tony Pollard all in front of him, who could all finish the season, by the way, with more receptions than Treylon Burks. This is the guy that everyone wants to believe in right now. I'm just saying, I'll believe it when I see it.
All right, you'll believe it when you see it. Let's talk about another guy that I saw it yesterday, and I absolutely believe it. The first impression, we'll play some highlights of Calvin Ridley in his first Titans practice that was open to the media. But first, let me tell you guys about the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever you get hurt in life, you have to know who to go to, who to trust, because the Bone and Joint Institute, they have you covered all across the board because they've got all the experts, all the resources in one spot to make sure that whenever that injury pops up, you can get it taken care of the right way and not let that thing linger. I've got some patella tendonitis in my left knee, Jack, and I've got my first physical therapy appointment at the Bone and Joint Institute on Friday. So hopefully I'll be able to get all this taken care of throughout the next few weeks so I can move on from this patella tendonitis there too. So check them out online. It's so easy to book an appointment at boneandjointtn.org.
BetMGM.com new users sign up with our bonus code that you see on our screen, A to Z Sports, and you'll get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. Some great playoff action in the NHL and the NBA over the last couple of weeks. They're still going on right now as conference finals begin here soon. BetMGM, get some skin in the game. Do it with our bonus code A to Z Sports and get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses.
Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older. Tennessee only new customer offer. All promotions, subject to qualification, eligible requirements. First online real money wager. Only rewards issued and eligible bonus bets that expire 7 days. And for a problem gambling support, call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789. All right, Jack. First impressions. The first look at Calvin Ridley wearing that 0 for the Tennessee Titans. If you think Calvin Ridley is fast, hit that like button. God, I mean, that is insane. So that's Calvin Ridley there, the highlights from his first day of OTAs. And Jack, I said yesterday on the show with Zach that I wanted to stack up, to size up Treylon Burks, his explosiveness versus Calvin Ridley's explosiveness. The results are in. Calvin Ridley is so damn explosive, it makes everybody else not look that explosive. I mean, gosh, like he is fast. It's so quick. his first 3 steps off the line of scrimmage are stupid, and he just keeps going. And he also just has a lot of fun out there. I don't know if you could hear some of the chatter going on towards the end of that. He wanted more reps. He wanted to keep going. He was having fun talking with teammates, talking with Levis after reps in between drills. And so my first impression of Calvin Ridley, the real deal. This is going to be exciting to see how this builds.
Yeah, you want a wide receiver to believe in? That's the guy to believe in right there. There's a case to be made that Calvin Ridley, even though he turns 30 in November, is entering, or not entering his prime, but is still in his prime as a wide receiver. He was able to take over when Christian Kirk went down last year. Just the quickness and the explosiveness and the run after catch ability and the ability to track balls down the field. All of these things make me really excited and should make Will Levis extremely excited about his development in his first season as a full-time starter. Look, Calvin Ridley, man, he's going to make a lot of noise this season. And DeAndre Hopkins was kind of asked yesterday about the competition in the wide receiver room. He said, you know what, I'm going to try and go out there and outdo everybody. But it's going to be hard to outdo Calvin Ridley, man. This guy is already impressing me just on his first look at OTAs and, how he finished last season, how he played against the Titans, all of these things, the 1,300-yard season in 2020 from him, all of these things lead me to have really high expectations for Calvin Ridley, like wide receiver 1 expectations for Calvin Ridley in the Titans offense in 2024.
So Buckeye DK just brings up something in the chat that I kind of want to set up here. So like DeAndre Hopkins in May in OTAs, really throughout most of training camp, I don't need to see DeAndre Hopkins give full effort in practice. I don't want him to. He doesn't have to. I know what he looks like in the game. He needs to obviously know his assignments, which he does and will, and run the routes and catch the football when the lights are on. And I believe I have confidence in D-Hop to do that. He doesn't have to go balls to the wall in practice. I think Calvin Ridley was going balls to the wall in practice yesterday because he knows it's the first time that all of us are out there with our phones getting every little drill that he does, and he went all out and he looked damn good doing it. Now, here's the comment that I want to bring up from Buckeye DK. Burks needs to finish through the drills strong and make a point. Does Treylon Burks need to go more like Calvin Ridley at this point and go balls to the wall in practice to prove a point, to make a point? Or is that risky because you're not going to change your mind, right? Like you've said this so many times. If that was Treylon Burks looking like that in those drills, going balls to the wall, all out, looking fast and explosive and everything, snagging the ball away from his body, hands catching one-hand stuff, you'd be like, all right, fine, do it on Sunday. So you wouldn't care.
No, it wouldn't move the needle for me, but he still has to impress this new coaching staff and earn the trust of the quarterbacks.
It seems like he's done that with the coaching staff, at least.
Sure, they haven't really practiced in pads yet, but again, that'll come. That's the thing. Even though it won't move the needle for me, it's not like Treylon Burks can lollygag in practice. He hasn't earned anything in the NFL. He hasn't earned the ability to kind of coast through practices. You see Calvin Ridley out there pushing it like that, you have to match that energy if you're Treylon Burks.
Yeah, and Pistol says Brian Callahan said he has to tell Ridley to slow down. And Chef Rand brought it up that Ridley practices like that every day. Nick Holt said that, who saw him do it in Jacksonville all last year with the Jaguars. I mean, that's phenomenal. If Calvin Ridley can keep up that type of energy in practice and still be able to do it on Sunday, then maybe he is 25 years old and not 29.
I love the NBA. I love Inside the NBA with Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, Ernie, and Shaq. And when it comes to the playoff times about the best teams in the NBA, they say, you can't keep flipping that switch on and off. You can't show up on days you want to show up when you have to win. That switch has to stay on. For Treylon Burks, that switch, that Calvin Ridley switch, that has to stay on all the way through training camp. Let's build confidence through practice reps. Then we'll get out on Sunday, be comfortable with our process, and then be able to make a dent in the defense. That's what Treylon Burks should do. And even though it won't impress me when he makes big catches in training camp, or maybe he has a good game in the preseason, it's very important for his confidence and his rapport with Will Levis and even Mason Rudolph, because God knows you never know when you need your backup. But so he's still got to keep the process the same. He's got to go 100% like Calvin Ridley did in practice. He's got to really establish a rapport with his quarterbacks, gain the trust of his coaches, and then he'll be able to make a difference on Sundays.
Curator says, I think I believe Ridley is actually 25 years old. And then Mr. Robinson says, the body has to get used to big movements. It reduces injury, right? There's that belief that if you don't push it over 100% before the event, then will your body react well to 100% in the event? So I don't know. I think there's a lot of different philosophies for that. But Jack, I think what you said about the inside the NBA comment makes a lot of sense. You keep turning on and off. At some point, that bulb's going to burn out because it's just being messed with too much. So if you keep that thing on at a low hum, maybe it builds strength like that, like Calvin Ridley is saying there. So I think, look, Calvin Ridley, as advertised, first impression, 2 thumbs up, all about it. We'll just see how he continues to progress his relationship with Will Levis. I see a lot of good communication out there between all the wide receivers and Levis. Brian Callahan commented on the fact that the veteran guys have the ability to go up to Will Levis and say, hey, here are my thoughts on this and that and the other, where Will Levis doesn't necessarily have to feel the pressure to have to be the guy to initiate, which I think overall is just a good thing for a young quarterback dealing with a lot of different personalities and veteran personalities as pass catchers. So any other points, Jack, that you've got here before we move on to trivia on this Wednesday?
Yeah, just one last one. Steve says, Sundays are all that matters. Don't need anybody hurt in practice. While that's true, and obviously the Titans' injury issues are well documented over these last few years, guys like Treylon Burks can't afford to hold anything back in practice because Nick Westbrook-Akine, a guy who's produced more than Treylon Burks, is sitting there waiting to take his snaps. So Treylon Burks can't take a day off. He can't take a snap off in practice. He's got to go full go every single day, every single snap he's out there. That's what Treylon Burks has to do in order to prove that he's a guy that they can trust on Sundays.
Yep. Getting some people asking how Malik Willis looked. We can do that on a different day, maybe tomorrow. I did see, there's a counter to that DeMario brings up about Vrabel pushing them hard. The whole blister versus callus. If you build a callus, that's better. If you don't, then you're going to get a blister, and then you can't keep going because you got to take care of that blister. All right, more on questions asking about Caleb Farley, Malik Willis. We've got 2 more shows this week to dive into that. The media will not be back out on the Titans practice field until Wednesday, a week from today. So got plenty of topics to get through. A lot of really good stuff about the offensive line. Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears. Inside linebacker is going to be something that I'm going to talk about, as well as maybe a little cornerback talk over the next several days before we get back out there for another round of OTAs. But, Jack, are you ready for a little sports trivia on this Wednesday?
Of course.
Shout out to Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process. Go see him in Lebanon. Say hey to Payne Bone out there. He'll help you save some money on that new car, or check them out online, WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Jack, are you ready for our graphic flip?
Let's do it.
Here we go. All right. So we talked about this. Are we going rapid round?
We got to go rapid round.
We're going rapid round. So we're going as
score.
fast as we can. Okay. So once we click the NFL button, we're going as fast as we can. I've got the second comment, here, see if you can give me a little zoom in there. If you could. There we go. I've got the next category. Luman comes in with movies as second. So let's go NFL followed by movies. Jack, let's hit it. Rapid
All right,
round.
here we go. After 9 seasons in Tampa Bay, Warren Sapp played the final 4 seasons of his NFL career with this AFC franchise from 04 to 07. Yes. Okay, we're going to movies.
Movies.
Jennifer Lopez, Constance Wu, and Cardi B played New York strippers who steal money from stockbrokers and CEOs in this 2019 crime dramedy film. I've watched this movie. I forget what it's called.
I don't know.
I've seen it.
I don't know.
We need the chat.
They're still commenting Raiders. The Hustle. John says The Hustle. Is that right? Hustle.
Hustle?
Hustle.
All right.
Ooh, I don't know. There's 2.
The Hustle or Hustle?
Hustle. We're getting Hustle.
We missed
it. No. All right. So, no messing up. So let's go to music.
Music. Since 2020, this country singer has had 3 top 10 hits, including his cover of Fast Car and his original songs Love You Anyway and The Kind of Love We Make. That is Luke Combs.
Okay, good. I'm glad you knew that one.
Luke Combs. Bang. All right.
So, all right, let's go chain restaurants.
Now discontinued, the loaded grillers were a popular snack option introduced by what fast food chain in 2012?
Loaded grillers.
Loaded grillers.
2012.
Why does that sound like a KFC option?
My first thought was Burger King.
I mean, it could be right.
We're getting Taco Bell. Taco Bell is what? Taco Bell?
Taco Bell. Got it.
Okay. Television.
Television. Fran Drescher played a fashionista who takes a job looking after the British American Sheffield family in this CBS sitcom from 93 to 99. Is that The Nanny?
I have no idea, but if you feel good about that, then sounds good to me.
I need one chat.
The Nanny. The Nanny's in on
Nanny.
it. Chat's all over it. Yep, Nanny.
All right, there we go.
History.
Recognized as one of the pioneers of the personal computer revolution, this man co-founded Apple alongside Steve Jobs and Ronald Wayne.
Oh, no. I don't know this.
My tech knowledge is not up to par.
Curtis says Al Gore.
Al Gore's internet, baby.
Wozniak.
Wozniak.
I don't know how to spell that.
Steve
Wozniak.
Should I send it?
Steve Wozniak. Hit it.
Got it. Great answer.
All right. MLB.
Dinger the Triceratops is the mascot for what National League West Division MLB franchise?
Oh, I do not know this.
The West. You're going to have the Diamondbacks. You're going to have the Giants. You're going to have the Dodgers, the Padres, the Rockies.
It's not the Rockies.
Dinger the Triceratops.
Is it the Rockies?
I feel like it could be the Diamondbacks because it's not like they have a snake as a mascot.
People are saying the Rockies.
Rockies? Okay.
Hold on. Let's wait. People are saying Rockies.
All right, let's try Rockies. Got it.
Okay.
Nice.
NBA.
They saved me from myself. Nicknamed Born Ready, this Pacers player famously blew in LeBron's ear during the 2014 Eastern Conference Finals. That is known menace Lance Stevenson.
Okay, celebrity mashup. Then we got a double dip on movies. Oh, dear God.
Lord have mercy. Okay. Safe to say there's a man and a woman here.
Yeah, that is safe. I feel like I know the outside, but I can't figure out the name. Like I can picture the person, but I don't know the name.
Are they in movies or TVs? TV shows?
That's not Anne Hathaway in the middle.
I think, doesn't she have brown eyes? Maybe I'm wrong.
Emilia Clarke, Jonathan says, for the inside. The outside guy, I feel like, is I'm not gonna know. Emilia Clarke, I think. This guy, I'm not gonna know. I have no idea.
Chad's got to come up big for us here.
It's definitely not Nicolas Cage, and it's definitely not Elon Musk.
Gosh, this looks like everybody's 7th grade social studies teacher. The hair.
I don't know. It's not Kevin Spacey. The guy's too old for that.
I don't feel like they'd be putting him on celebrity mashups at this point.
Yeah. Tarantino? Quentin Tarantino?
Not a bad idea.
You want to try that?
He's got a terrible hairline, yeah.
I did see Quentin Tarantino guesses before. Hit it.
Oh my God,
we got
it right.
Use the double dip. All right, so is this Hustlers or The Hustle?
That's the question.
Hustlers or The Hustle? Read it one more time for those that are trying to catch up.
J-Lo, Constance Wu, and Cardi B played New York strippers who steal money from stockbrokers and CEOs in this 2019 crime dramedy film.
It's literally split. Hustlers versus The Hustle. I don't.
Again, when we break the tie, somebody has to comment in parentheses, I know it for a fact.
Hustlers. Ashley is like, Hustlers, send it in.
Okay.
Hustlers. Come on.
We got it.
Got it. All right. What's our score?
Score. 18.
Damn it. It's because we had the miss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But we were all over it. I mean,
we sure as hell tried
Hustlers
to be all over it.
2 letters away from a perfect score today on Rapid Round.
Absolutely brutal.
It's all right. It gives me something to work towards next week. You know?
Yep. The Rapid Round was stressful. I don't know about you, but that was fast.
It was a fast Rapid Round. The chat was very quick, though. We needed them to be on their toes, and they were.
I was very proud of the chat's performance on Celebrity Mashup because Jack and I gave very little, if not nothing.
Yeah, that may be the hardest celebrity mashup, I should say, that we've done.
Yeah, that was tough. But hey, we succeeded. So, maybe we'll try to go. Darius asked, was there a theme? I don't know. We went so damn fast, I didn't even pay attention to a theme. When Sam and I have done trivia, sometimes there has been like a theme. Like there was like a bunch of Randys or a connection to a Randy or some random something like that.
I didn't notice the theme.
We went too fast. We went too fast for that. I have no clue.
I don't think there was a theme this time around. Lance Stevenson, the Rockies, Quentin Tarantino. I don't know.
The Raiders.
The Raiders.
LA.
Taco Bell.
West Coast. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's any theme there. Anyway, that's it for us on this Wednesday. Make sure you hit that like button before you leave. Like the show before you go. That's always a big deal for us. Helps us out. Makes the show better for everybody. So hit that like button before you head out of here and subscribe to our channel. A lot of great content from Titans OTA practice on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok as well. So go check that out and follow us everywhere right there on Facebook too. And we'll be back tomorrow morning on a Thursday. Appreciate it as always.